Hey y'all, I'm back with my October 2025 reading wrap up, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Books with Kimberly. Don't forget to like, comment, share my channel, and subscribe. Y'all, I am back to go over the books I read in the month of October. I read a total of 10 books. Go Kimberly. All right. 8 of them were ebooks. 3 of them were short story ebooks, novellas, but the majority of them were ebooks. Only 2 of them were audiobooks. So let's get right into them. The first books I'm going to talk about are 3 holiday novellas. So I wanted to read some Halloween shorts. I saw a lot of TikTok videos on some different Halloween novellas written by Black authors. The only thing is all of these books were erotic romance stories. I did want something more cozy and fun, but I couldn't find that, and I was really looking for short reads to finish up the month of October. Literally, I'm reading these books on October 31st on my birthday, so I needed something quick. So these were 30 pages or less. The first 2 novellas are by BriAnn Danae, and they are part of a series, her 2 holiday shorts with Halloween theme. The first one is Trickin is a Treat, and the second one is Midnight in the Grove. We get introduced to the main character, Elisa, in the first book, Trickin is a Treat. Her and her cousin, Charisma, are going to a Halloween party. They are dressed to the nines, ready to have some fun. They go to a store to pregame and get some alcohol. And there is this weird sales lady who tells her, look, you get a free shot of this special kind of liquor. She takes the shot. When she gets to the party, she starts hallucinating and seeing this very tall, dark, handsome, very attractive man. And the 2 of them keep having these run-ins, and then she'll look around and he's disappeared. But come to find out, he is very real. He is actually the owner of the house. The 2 of them end up having a steamy night. And that's really the gist of the book. Because the first one ended a little bit weird, the second one picks up where the 2 of them are not speaking. So Elisa is missing this guy who she met on Halloween. So now in this one, she's trying to reunite with the guy. This was cute for a Halloween story. I do like that the second one gave more details as to how she ended up having these hallucinations after drinking this shot at the liquor store. So I do think the story got a little bit more developed in the second book, so I give that one like a 3.5, but I'm going to end up giving them both 3. So it was pretty cute for a holiday story. Of course, because it was short, it didn't give much, but it gave what it needed to give, I guess. The last holiday novella I read was You Hide, I'll Seek by M.L. Bash. I've always seen this author come up on TikTok. I guess she does more erotic books. This just was not my cup of tea, but I wanted to reach 10 books, so I finished it, but it was not my cup of tea. So I give it like 1 star. Actually, no rating probably. So let's get into the books on my spooky TBR list. The first one is All Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. I was a little iffy about this book because I had read Razorblade Tears before, and it was not one of my favorite books. But this book actually started off with a bang, literally. So we get introduced to Sheriff Titus, who is the first Black sheriff in this town of Sharon. Sharon is a very racist town, and it has a history of these unfortunate events. They'll have an era of pain, and then they'll have an era of peace. And the book opens up, they are in an era of peace, like nothing crazy has really happened in the past couple years. But then Sheriff Titus gets a call from the local high school that there is an active shooter, and all HELL is breaking loose. There was only one victim, and it was a teacher that everyone loves. He is a white teacher, and the former student who took his life was a Black student. So immediately I'm like, oh God, where is this story going? It had me at that moment. I will say this story was very fast paced. So it wasn't this long drawn out of uncovering why did this student unalive his former teacher. You find out within the next chapter that this teacher was not who everyone thought he was, that he was into some very sick things, and he was harming brown children, making them disappear. So Sheriff Titus is uncovering all of that, as well as he finds out there was a third person in this scheme that was the shooter and the teacher, and there's a third person who they don't know, and they're trying to find out who it is, because of course this person has the capability to keep harming brown children. So it was very gross, but I will say I like that the author did not get very graphic. So the whole book is a mystery. I will say it started off really good, but probably towards the middle, towards the end of the book, it did kind of start to drag. Some of the interesting subplots weren't really given what they needed to give, and I just found myself kind of losing interest a little bit towards the end. Plus, when you find out who this third person is, it wasn't like this big moment for me, because there wasn't a build up to who it was. There was a little build up, but I kind of don't like how it was done. I don't want to give too much away because I don't want to spoil the book. But I'll just say, not really a fan of the ending, but I did like the premise. I liked how it started off. I'm giving this book 3.5 stars. I did really enjoy it, and I actually may read more from S.A. Cosby. Now that I've read 2 books, I kind of know not to expect what I would normally expect from a mystery, so I can kind of lower my expectations a little bit, but I still think this was pretty good. Next spooky reads were, of course, The Secret World of Maggie Gray. I read her first 3 books in this series that she has out. I absolutely love them. Go check out my standalone spooky review of the first 3 books. Then I read her 4th book, which is also in the Secret World of Maggie Gray world, but this 4th book does not feature the main characters of the Secret World of Maggie Gray. So this 4th book, which is Mortal Affairs by Granger, is also in the Secret World of Maggie Gray series. The main character, Homora Clark, she is in a department by herself, which is called Mortal Affairs. And what she does is she contacts humans who have had sightings of mystical creatures. They call her a mute at this office because she's quiet. She sticks to herself. She's a fairy. What happens is Trevor, who is the big shot at this agency, he's what they call a shapeshifter. So the head boss, who is Frank, puts Trevor on probation and puts him in the department with Homora, and the 2 of them have to work together to go through her caseload. And they end up uncovering some interesting backstories to Maggie's family, the first family, just everything that went on in those first 3 books. You get the other perspective of them figuring out a lot of those questions. And so I think this book was really good for kind of closing up some of those plot holes, even if it created some other plot holes. But I do think overall it was a good book. There was a love triangle that I would have liked that developed a little more. Honestly, I will say, as much as I love Granger, because I am a romance girly at heart, I would really love her to just go there with the romance. I feel like she teases my little romantic heart. Anyway, I give this book 4 stars. I think it was really good, and I'm interested to see how these characters become a part of the main story. There was a lot happening in this story, and I think it was really good. The next book that was on my spooky TBR for October is Blood Moon by Britney S. Lewis. So this book was marketed as similar to Twilight, the black version, because there are black werewolves and vampires, and the main character is a black girl named Mirabella, which is very interesting since Twilight's main character, her name is Bella. This book also caught my interest because it was marketed to those viewers of the Vampire Diaries who felt like Bonnie was cheated out of the storylines she deserved because she was just a sidekick for Elena. And as a Vampire Diaries fan, as a Bonnie Bennett witch fan, I love the idea of having this girl main character who's not the sidekick, who is the one who gets the love story, who gets the really good character arcs. So I was looking forward to what this story was going to bring. It opens up with Mira is starting her freshman year at this college. She got a mysterious scholarship. She thinks her dad, who is a sheriff, very interesting because it's similar to Bella Swan. I think her dad was a sheriff in the town too. Her mom disappeared years ago. So her and her dad have just been dealing with the disappearance of her mom. And also in this town that they're in, there have been a lot of people being attacked by some kind of animal. But the town also has a history of the myth of vampires and werewolves being real. So there's a lot of lore around werewolves, and there are people who think the people who've been missing, getting attacked, all of this has been happening because of werewolves. So Mira is at this college. There's this young guy named Julian who is telling her she needs to leave. She doesn't need to be there. So the majority of the book, she's running into Julian, trying to figure out, why is he saying this? Why doesn't she need to be there? What kind of danger she's in? And so she just has this fear of, I'm not supposed to be here. Plus her mom left her a necklace to protect her and a letter saying she needs to be careful and everything isn't as it seems. And so all of these questions are popping up, and you don't really get answers until the last quarter of the book. That's where the action happens. That's when you find out who's werewolves, who's vampires. I didn't like that, because I will say in Twilight, I think we find out very early. I have not read these books since I was younger, but I think we found out very early on Jacob and his family were the werewolves, Edward and his family were the vampires. In this story, you know Julian is creepy. There's this football player. He's really, really fast and really good at football. And so you know he's something too. But you literally do not find out till the last quarter of the book whether they're werewolves or vampires. And I did not like that. To be honest, I did not like this story at all. I don't have any good things to say about it. I didn't hate it, but I just felt like it gave nothing. And it literally was on the verge of putting me in a reading slump and a fantasy slump at that, because I'm to the point where I'm kind of fed up with these stories that get a lot of praise for being these amazing fantasy reads. You have Lord of the Wilds that I always see people recommending. Oh, you want great black fantasy? Read Lord of the Wilds. Read the Tethered series by Shanora Williams. And I just feel like when I read these books, they give nothing. And I understand them being a fantasy series, meaning the first book is just world building. They dragging it out. That last quarter or third of the book is where the action happens, and they give you a cliffhanger to keep you reading the series. But that's not enough for me. I do not want to waste my time with the first book of the series if it's going to drag out. You don't get the answer to questions until the very end just to tie you in for the next book, because spoiler alert, the next book don't be that great either. You need to give action, give plot, character. You can give a great first book and carry that momentum into the second book. You don't have to give a dry first book, give a cliffhanger just so the second and third books can be amazing. Make the first book amazing too. I am not comfortable giving books 1 stars, especially ones written by Black authors, but I really don't have anything good for this book, so it would have to be a 1 star. So I needed a little bit of a palate cleanser after reading that. And so my last read of October was not a spooky, well, technically the novellas were my last reads, but you get where I'm going with this. A little palate cleanser in between there was Hear My Heart by Monae. This was an ebook read. I really enjoyed this one. This is my first book by Monae. I love the cutesy little cartoon cover, but this book was definitely spicy. The main character is deaf, which I really thought was cool. She has a horrible fiance who gets into a car accident, and when he gets into a car accident, she decides to call his brother, who he doesn't really talk to, but feels like the brother needs to know about the accident. So the brother comes into town, and because she doesn't want to live at her house or her fiance alone, she invites the brother to come stay with her. The main character, who is Nakaira, her and Creed build this really cute friendship. I love how Monae does slow burn. So it's not quickly. As soon as they get in the house, they start making out and she starts cheating on her fiance. There was a nice build up until their relationship, and when it happens, it was just so anticipated, so cute. I really enjoyed it. Again, I like how she does slow burn. I love the messiness. I give this book 4 stars. What's keeping me from giving it 5 is that I feel like the stakes needed to be higher. Like, if this is a messy plot, like, girl, you getting feelings for your fiance who's in a coma, his brother. Like, let's amp up the drama. Have the parents pop up at the house and see them cozy on the couch, eating dinner and watching movies together. It just felt like they were in their own little world, own little bubble. I wanted a little bit more drama. Like, have somebody pop up, find out, threaten to tell. I mean, the fiance in a coma, so ain't much he could do about it. But I wanted more drama, a little more messiness. But love the plot, love the romance. Give it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. Now, that is it for the books I read in the month of October. However, there was a book that I left out of my September 2025 reading wrap up, and that book is A Mastery of Monsters by Liselle Sambury. I listened to this book on Audible and it was pretty good. The premise of this story is this is dark academia. It's a fantasy book. Her last 2 books I read were thriller mysteries, but this one is fantasy, and I think it is either a trilogy or a duology. So we get introduced to the main character, who is August Black. August Black has a brother who is at this Queen's College. The book takes place in Canada. He sends her a text, hey, I'm leaving. Don't try to find me. Like, monsters are real. Something like that. So she ends up running into this guy named Virgil. These guys are attacking her, and Virgil sees it happening, and she starts throwing knives at them. She nicks one of their ears, and Virgil decides that he wants to ask her to join this competition with him. Virgil is a monster. And what happens is, in this society, they have a competition every year where young monsters, they are partnered with a human, and what they are in need of is a master. Sounds weird that they're trying to find masters for these monsters, and I love that Liselle hints on how weird that is. We have this society trying to find masters to control monsters. But anyway, Virgil is a monster. He hasn't fully turned yet, so it's very important for him to find a partner and them go through this competition to become master and monster, so that he can get some kind of serum that keeps him from turning automatically and becoming a ravenous monster. And so she'll be able to control him, and he'll be able to live his normal life. August only agreed to be Virgil's partner because her brother has an affiliation with this, and it has to do why he disappeared on her. She's only doing this to get more information on her brother, and after that she plans on dipping, even though her and Virgil are becoming really good friends. I thought this book was pretty good. The society just felt very complicated. There's even a second society that is like a Black student union almost. So I like a lot of the elements that Liselle brought into this story. I just feel like it didn't come together that well for me. But I will say the ending was interesting. It was good. I do want to know more about the monsters and the masters. And so there's a lot that's going to be happening in this series, and I'm definitely committed to finishing it. So I give this series 4 stars. Not one of my favorites from her, but it piqued my interest enough. It had enough elements that I like that I do want to continue this series. Y'all, that is it for the books that I read in October and that one book that I read in September. Get down in the comments and let me know what books you have been reading. I hope you are enjoying fall and that you are having some good cozy reads. And thank you again for tuning in to a Books with Kimberly video.